Hi there, and welcome to the IBAC Tech Trek podcast, where we explore the outer reaches of insurance technology. I'm your science officer on this journey, Tom Reid, and today I'm pleased to be joined by Mike Scarbeau, VP of Business Transformation for HSB. Mike, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me, Tom.
Awesome. Hey, Mike, so to get started here, I usually ask people to do a quick intro bio about themselves. So maybe I'll get you to follow that tradition. Can you just give us a bit of your background and how you wound up being VP of Business Transformation?
Yeah, thanks. I've been in the technology, financial and insurance space for over 20 years. Uh, Spent many years at CIBC and moved around a bit after that. Before this, I was at the Commonwealth and headed up IT. Here, my mandate is really to help enable our strategic objectives and our kind of 2030 strategy. So, been in this role for a couple of years. Prior to that, was heading up IT. So, it's been a great, exciting journey so far.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. So I'm guessing that you're like every other carrier out there and you're moving to a new or modified back office system. Can you talk about what you guys are doing there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we run on a legacy back office system today. Certainly, it's in our plans to transition to a more modern platform. As you know, it's a significant transformation. I've been a part of these before. You're impacting whole lines of business, underwriting, claims, and the other core ops. So for us, kind of focusing that over a series of years, managing the impacts and costs, of course, of doing that. But I think one advantage I have with being in a legacy environment is we have simplicity. So my strategy the last couple of years has been kind of modernizing around that core system. Eventually, we will upgrade that system, but really building foundational and digital capabilities around that. But as I mentioned, when you're in a simplified environment, you can kind of leapfrog, and we've been able to do that in a couple areas.
Speaking of improvements, can you talk about if some of that work is actually helping brokers, right? And specifically in a broker's ability to grow the business or do a better job of managing their clients. So what are you guys doing that actually supports a broker's ability to do their job?
Well, a lot of the connectivity that we have today, a lot of it, to be honest with you, a lot of it's through email. So we want to make it easier both for the broker and ourselves to go through that submission process and the quoting process. So we're doing a lot of work with the BMS platforms to digitize some of our products and have like real-time quote combined, and as well as things that don't happen to go through a traditional VMS, trying to automate that submission workflow process to make the time to decision and the back and forth much easier to navigate. It can be a lot of back and forth depending on the type of quote today.
So you make that submission response process quicker, better, which means the broker's ability to turn around that for their clients obviously is improved at that point.
Absolutely. And then obviously on some of these BMS platforms where it's kind of an open marketplace, they can go in and quote on not only our product, but other products right in real time. And, that also makes their journey much easier, as well as, the document integration. So really, probably similar as other carriers, that type of experience is the one that we're also rolling out too.
Awesome. You mentioned connectivity. And so we've been working on the industry, has been working on the API sharing or the Wawanisa API sharing project that was initiated by IBAC and being managed by CSIO. Now, this probably isn't super relevant to you guys because we're focusing on retail lines of business and you're more of a specialty business. But can you maybe talk a bit in general about this project and your awareness of it and what you think the importance of it should be?
Yeah, at least in previous roles I've had, previous organizations definitely had some integrations with CSIO. So, and in the group, I think it's commendable effort, and it's much needed to standardize and streamline, data exchange. By having these common set of APIs, it will allow scalable capabilities and allow some folks to get in, but maybe it would have been more difficult before. And even our viewpoint here, same type of strategy, want to make it consistent and scalable. So, I think this is a step in the right direction. I think there's a lot more potential in the future too.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, you mentioned that you're building on top of your legacy infrastructure. How do you decide what priorities you go on? Because every organization I've ever worked with, or whether it's been in the IT team or working with the IT team or what have you, there's always way more priorities than one can manage. How do you decide what input do you get to decide um, what your priorities are?
Well, I think at first starts with, what is our strategic objectives of our organization and what are our top priorities? Because there's no such thing as infinite resources and budget. So we kind of start with the strategic objectives and kind of tie it back to what our goals are to those and what capabilities we need. And then that kind of turns into a roadmap. Modernizing around that core really ties back to that. Do we need to get our claims experience better? Do we need to get that time to decision on the quote faster? Do we need to have better risk selection? So we kind of look at all these things, can't do it all at once. And we've kind of done a pragmatic approach over the years.
Can you share what is on the top of your priority list currently?
Yeah, I mean, for me, one of the top priorities for us is really getting that submission into our organization from our partners, get that time to decision down. So in order to do that, there's lots involved with that from an organizational standpoint, but purely from a tech standpoint is how can we automate? How can we get straight through processing? How can we minimize the information management nightmare that can occur in organizations? And, where can we even augment things like AI into that to make the experience faster and easier?
All right, so you just opened the AI door for me. So, and I was just thinking I would be remiss if I didn't ask you anything about AI, because everybody's talking about it. So let's talk about it. Uh, so what are you guys doing with AI? If you can share it again, some of this stuff will be confidential, I'm sure. But generally speaking, where are you going with AI? What do you see as some of the opportunities, and maybe even what do you see as some of the pitfalls or drawbacks with AI?
Yeah, for sure. At a very high level, probably all organizations would be looking at kind of general themes. So, what can you do with AI around underwriting, risk selection, claims management? And then there's just general category, enablement. That's a very broad category, Tom. And I think regardless if you're in insurance or not. So I'll start with enablers, productivity, just back office productivity using AI, things like Copilot. Everyone can do that. Everyone should be doing that. But when you get into specific use cases, for me, really around insurance is really around, that submission workflow. For me, I almost see it as a journey, maybe 3 or 4 phases, top of mind. Like first, how do you triage some of that information that a human might do? Can the AI help there and help organize it, get it pointed to the right place for real, underwriting? Can we help bring information to the surface for underwriters and whatnot? Sometimes they're navigating a complex web of information, make it easier for them. But what about this world with agentic AI, where eventually you get to AI agents providing recommendations to the underwriter to review and approve? And imagine one day we have agentic AI underwriters just going front to back. We're not there yet, but that could be the case one day. And then of course on claims notes, navigating that, maybe the first notice of loss, those use cases, I can see them all coming across the industry.
So when you actually sit down and go through all of the different use cases or transactions or workflows or what have you, every insurance workflow that I've ever looked at has a fair amount of grunt work in it. Things are you're moving data from A to B, you're capturing data, you're sorting it ever so slightly, prioritizing it. There's the actual human judgment part, is always there, but it is never as big a job as what some of this grunt work is. And I'm looking forward to a day where that grunt work is being handled by the machine, and that judgment can be used 10 times where it was before. And who knows what our underwriters and claims folks and brokers can do when they're able to actually spend a lot of their time using their judgment and using their skills as opposed to just typing stuff from one screen to another screen.
The one thing that's kind of amazing about, if I use the AI concept, is aspects of AI that handle what the eyes do, scanning. Aspects of what AI do is the hands, the workflow, the automation. There's aspects of AI that do kind of like the thinking, or the feet, the moving things around. So I think all those things, that grunt work that we do today, I think we can alleviate a lot of that in the future.
The world of insurance is changing because the world of tech is changing.
Join us on the journey at ibactech.ca.